Leonard and Norman Powell each dropped 27 points to help the Clippers beat the Spurs 128 to 116. Leonard played a season-high 29 minutes. Avika Zubac had 21 points and 22 rebounds. The Clippers are at Charlotte Friday. The Lakers are back in action tonight. They're at Washington, a team with the worst record in the NBA. The Wizards are 6-40 and have lost 15 straight. The Lakers won't have Anthony Davis tonight. A good time for the Lakers to regroup and show some mental toughness on their 4-game road trip. USC's women's basketball team, ranked number 4 in the country, is playing their first home game in 18 days. USC is at the Galen Center tonight to host Minnesota. The Trojans have won 14 straight. Trojan star Juju Watkins remains the nation's number 3 scorer with 24.8 points per game. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
They can do anything they want to us. We might not be back. I might be in jail. I might be anywhere. But when I leave, you can remember I said with the last words on my lips, and I am a revolutionary.
On Saturday, February 22nd, you are invited to A Night with the Panthers, a special fundraiser dedicated to supporting Black Panther veterans who now require assistance with essential needs such as medicine, food, and housing. These Black Panther veterans champion human would not come with retirement plans or financial security. So, now it's our time to honor their legacy and ensure that they are cared for with the dignity they deserve. You can help by attending and supporting A Night with the Panthers, Saturday, February 22nd, 6:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the Project 43 Team Post Center, 6841 Crenshaw Boulevard, Los Angeles. For more information, contact Black Panther Party Breakfast at gmail.com or call 707-554-2784. That's Black Panther Party Breakfast at gmail.com or call 707-554-2784. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black. Just talk about that.
It's been a long time, I shouldn't have left you without a strong rhyme to step to. Think of how many weak shows you slept through. Time's up, I'm sorry I kept you thinking of this. You keep repeating your miss the rhymes from the microphone solo with. So you sit by the radio, hand on the dial soon. As you hear it, pump up the volume. Dance with the speaker till you hear it blow. Then plug in a headphone, cause here it go. It's a 4-letter word when it's heard to control your body to dance. So dot text a tempo like a red alert. Reach your reflex and let it work. When this is playing, you can't get stuck with the steps, so can say, and I'ma still come up with a gift to be swift. Follow the leader, the rhyme will go deaf with the record that was mixed a long time ago. It could be done, but only I could do it. For those that can dance and clap your hands to it, I start to think and then I sink into the paper like I was in.
KBLA.
Writing, I'm trapped in between
You got
the
it.
line. I escape.
All right, this is a perfect time to call me at 800-920-1580. Y'all must have forgot. You got it. We got this. We good. I heard the psychologist loud and clear on yesterday. Acknowledge the trauma, understand the pain, listen to the people, but let us not forget. I love so much what Dr. Jashana Johnson said on yesterday. She said, if we can pass on trauma, we can pass on resilience. We can pass on healing. 800-920-1580. That's the number if you want to talk about it. There were some great questions regarding an actual exit from the United States in the chat that I didn't get to because I only had Mr. Evans for the half an hour, but all of those things would and could be addressed should that exit actually occur, which, to be honest with you, I think is a pretty long shot. But I also do not disagree with a lot of the reasoning behind it. Somebody brought up reparations. They wanted to know if Mr. Evans supports reparations. I don't know if he does or he doesn't, but we in the state of California are the voters, and the activists and the change makers. We're the ones that make that happen and will make that happen in the state of California. And as descendants of freedmen, or however you want to categorize it, the class of people that are deserving, that are owed reparations, it would be up to us to petition the federal government of the United States of America, whether we were part of them or not. They still owe that debt to Black Americans. Miles was asking who would be the president. Well, I guess we'd have to duly elect that president. I don't know.
President DiPrima.
President Miles Lowe, maybe. I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't automatically be Gavin Newsom, although I know he wants to be president of the United States, and certainly he would be a viable candidate. But we're way off down the road, because what this actual initiative does is create a commission to study whether California can make it on its own and what would be the implications of that. Paul Lee in the chat saying, do your own research and homework, please. Yeah, for sure. Although we are a bit of a cheat sheet around here at KBLA all day, every day. And yeah, it's a good question. Jerry Anderson asked, does it come with incentives for red folks to move to a red country? I don't know, but I love that idea. Yeah, go on, and if you love red meat, America, MAGA country so much, why don't you go live there? Well, the other problem is, go back to where you came from. Is that what you said, Miles? Go back to where you come back to. It'd be kind of fun to say it at least. But I don't. Mississippi, which is a very red state, arguably the blackest city in America. So this is not a simple question, but it's one that needs to be asked. And I think even the conversation puts the federal government
not to get compensated for the property that was taken. So that's why they reluctantly signed on and ratified the 14th Amendment. That's the issue with the South. But they was like, well, we'll come back politically. And then once they was able to get Jim Crow in Reconstruction with the new president after Lincoln was assassinated, they was on their way. But be that as it may, what I'm saying is each state is its own country. That's why they have their own state constitution. And then there's the federal constitution, which is the United States Constitution. But those Articles of Confederation, the Constitution is bound to that. And it clearly says the Union shall be perpetual.
Well, I mean, you bring... Go ahead.
No, and then let's just hypothetically say California succeeds, right? Mm-hmm. You on the coast, you have a port, etc. Okay, but do you got a military? What if China decides they want to invade California? What if Russia decides they want to invade California? What you gonna do for defense? Well,
yeah, I mean, he had an answer. Right? He had an answer for that, but I think I still think that's a very legitimate question, because even with Cal Army or whatever it's called, that is not going to be anything versus, the United States or Russia or whoever else. China.
I mean, let's just think this thing all the way through, right, to its logical conclusion. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What nuclear bombs do California got?
So
nuclear weapons. You think
two things.
Wait a second, Dominique.
Mm-hmm.
Think for 1 second, if California succeeds from the other 49 states, that the United States federal government is going to give California a nuclear weapon?
No, I do not think so. He's talking about, consent of the governed, which is part of the Declaration of Independence. But to your point, if the Union is forever, what does that really mean?
It says shall be perpetual. They meant that when they put that document together. Why do you think Lincoln went to war with the South?
Well, I mean, I think that the military argument, the question of whether it's even possible, there's some other good questions in the chat, are legit. But anything can happen. I mean, whether it's in the Constitution or not, if you're willing to have a revolution, you can secede. I just don't know that we are. And I think it's Honey Brown 24, who says, how are you going to petition the federal government for reparations once you've seceded? Well, how is Jamaica petitioning the Crown for reparations? Because it's a debt that's owed. That's an international question now instead of a national question. But it still merits consideration.
So, and
I agree, we wouldn't be a NATO country. We would no longer be a NATO country because then we'd have to have a separate negotiation to be part of NATO if we were no longer a piece of the United States.
Well, let me guess. I guess Cuba gonna pull up and help defend California, right?
I doubt that. I think California would have to defend California. Now, the idea of becoming part of Canada, I think that was just a joke. But look, we don't know what's ahead. And so we're having this conversation now, and you're making some fair points, and some folks in the chat are making fair points. I think, number one, it's a good idea to be talking about it so these folks can at least think, what would our lives be like if we didn't have California's money? We call it the Golden State for a reason. And number two, what does that really mean and what does it look like?
It is right now. In all fairness, we're talking about the money tax money that we send to the federal government, and we get back less than we send to the federal government, all the red states.
Right.
Basically,
we are a
children,
donor
right?
state, right?
Yeah, right. Now watch this. The governor and our state legislature, they can withhold a lot of that money. Now, it'll be a fight with the federal government. They'll be mad.
Well, you're saying we could withhold paying our taxes because that's how it's paid.
Yeah.
It's paid in the form of taxes.
Exactly.
I don't think you can. I mean, you want to talk about what we can and can't do. I don't think we can just withhold our taxes.
Well, watch this. We can do it and then fight about it later, right?
Ask for forgiveness, not permission. P. Jackson says, didn't South Carolina threaten to secede a few years ago? Yeah, but the perpetual secessionist is Texas, and it's for different reasons, and we know what that is. They want to relitigate the Civil War. But the part about a civil war, I think the Civil War that we've been in since the end of Reconstruction is really a Cold War. And I believe what people are concerned about is actually armed conflict, especially since these self-delusional white supremacists believe that they want a civil war or a race war anyway. At least that's what that's the talk they talk. I don't know that they're willing to walk the walk.
Well, if the Proud Boys and all those guys talking about they want a hot war with the United States federal government, then let them have it. We just sit there and watch, eat our popcorn and watch it from the stand.
But except for what we saw on January 6th is that they have lots of sympathizers in the military and in law enforcement. So what is it against the U.S. military, or is it a coup with the U.S. military at some point? And you know what I mean? Like, that's not guaranteed.
Well, I can tell you this. Let's watch and see.
Yeah. Popcorn ready. We'll continue this conversation when we come forward. 800-920-1580 is a number if you want to jump on. KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Downy Rinse and Refresh. Break up with stinky clothes.
Rinse it out. Every now and then I get a little bit tired of the stinks that just will never come out. Oh, Downy the rinse change. Every now and then I rinse it out. One wash and it delivers. One wash, it smells so clean. Downy Rinse and Refresh, it's a dream.
Downy Rinse and Refresh. Fights odor in just one wash. Guaranteed.
It's been said that when someone you love has Parkinson's, you have Parkinson's.
The Parkinson's Foundation knows that the disease doesn't just affect the diagnosed. It affects everyone who supports and helps care for them.
If you have questions, the Parkinson's Foundation has answers.
We can help you understand the disease
and give you tips for living a better life.
Find your answers at parkinson.org or call 1-800-473-4636. The Parkinson's Foundation. Better lives. together.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting rules for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Consult a doctor prior to use.
Wow, you look amazing. What have you been doing?
I'm sure you've heard of Ozempic, Wegovy, and the other GLP-1 medications, right? Well, I found this great company called Zelfie. If you qualify, their providers can prescribe medications like Ozempic and Wegovy and other GLP-1 medications that are 80 to 90% less expensive, all 100% online.
I can get GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% less and do it all online? No doctor's office or pharmacy?
Yes, Zelfie can provide semaglutide or tirzepatide, the active ingredients in Ozempic and other expensive GLP-1s, but for 80 to 90% less and shipped directly to your door.
How do I get started with Zelfie?
Just send them a text.
Text BEST to 200-300 to get started today with Zelfie. Get the same active ingredients in Wegovy or Ozempic, but for 80 to 90% less and 100% online. Don't wait. Text BEST to 200-300 right now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text BEST to 200-300. That's BEST to 200-300. BEST to 200-300.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
I want to definitely send condolences out to Too Short and the family of Too Short. Todd's older brother was shot and killed in Oakland yesterday morning during an attempted robbery. And we know that Oakland is just really going through it right now in terms of their violence, community violence, as well as just the deterioration of the local leadership. His name was Wayne Shaw. I never met him. Of course, I know Too Short, Todd Shaw, from back in the day. If it wasn't for him cussing so much, I never would have got my first job as a broadcaster. Really nice man, Too Short. And they're a long time Oakland family. Of course, he's an icon of West Coast hip-hop, and that's just a terrible, terrible thing. And actually, they don't have the suspect, so they're asking, the police there are asking for the public's help. They have a tip line. They want you to call the Oakland PD homicide section if you have anything, if you know anything. It's just really terrible and sad, and it's emblematic of what's going on right now in that city. I have a lot of family and friends still living in Oakland, by the way. So we're talking about, we started off the day talking about California seceding from the United States. And I think, Honey Brown, I think you make a great point about why do we have a petition on the ballot when we haven't thought through a lot of these things. Well, they believe they have thought them through. They have their frequently asked questions section on the website. To me, it doesn't convincingly answer some of the things that we've brought up. And it's also coming against the backdrop of demographic shifts, which I believe are going to grow. Now, I don't know. Republican, actually alleged, purported Nazi Elon Musk has done his own Texit, Brexit, and moved himself out of California, but he still has his SpaceX company here, and at least one Tesla factory that I know of. But we're starting to see another kind of migration, which is people are leaving states in droves, states that have abortion bans, very strict abortion bans. And one of the reasons is because women are dying who are not trying to get abortion. They're just trying to get pregnancy care or help after a miscarriage. If you have a miscarriage and everything does not get expelled from the body, you can die. It requires procedures that are similar to an abortion. Doctors won't do it. We've had at least 2 women die. Women who are mothers, by the way, after suffering miscarriages. If you have trouble with your pregnancy, there is a good chance, and you're trying to carry your baby to term, that you can't get care in these states because they are prosecuting doctors. Because we have had nurses and hospital staff reporting women. So people are leaving. Georgia Tech put out a report this month that shows that those 13 states with total bans are losing about 144,000 people a year. That's a big exodus. And I believe under this current administration, we are going to see more and more restrictive laws, not just about women's bodily autonomy, but other things that make people think, well, you know what? I'll go to California. I'll go to Oregon. I'll go to New York, Massachusetts, states where I'm less likely to see this kind of restriction of my rights. And so we always talk about the great migration of people leaving, black people leaving the South and going to the cities in search of jobs, in search of fleeing a Jim Crow, even though they found Cali Jim Crow and Oregon Jim Crow and New York Jim Crow, as manifested through law enforcement, as manifested through actual chapters. My mind was blown when I read the LA reparations report, and it cited, I think it was either 13 or 17. The numbers eluding me. I can look it up. Chapters of the KKK in LA, just in LA. So we know that flight doesn't always work. We started to hear about the reverse flight, people from big cities going back to the South because they had families, because the cost of living is less, because they wanted a simpler life. And I wonder if that holds up in this current environment. I tend to doubt it. Would you want to move back during the kind of political moment that we're having? I wouldn't. I'll be keeping my butt in California, and unless it got to the point where we had to go to, I don't know, Zanzibar. You could, if you have $150K to buy a condo, you will get permanent residency in Zanzibar easily. Just a little sidebar in case you're thinking of migrating, seceding your own self out of the U.S., there are options. Many African nations are now making it easy for Black Americans to get passports, to get papers, to get temporary, permanent, or actual real full citizenship. I happen to be team stay and fight, but I believe that these demographic shifts that we are barely starting to see, that report reflects movement that happened before the election. I believe that picks up a pace, right? As more and more insane, invasive, anti-Black laws and policies come forth, not just from Washington, but from various states. Yoda asks, is LA a stronghold for Black Americans? Yes and no. It is because there's more Black wealth here. I learned that when I moved from Northern California. They don't talk about that. When you hear about LA, you hear about people partying and making movies and beaches and gangs. It's mostly what you hear about. But LA actually has a very influential political class, strong lawmakers. I know y'all don't want to hear that, but we do. We have strong, talented lawmakers. We have a lot of Black wealth. And we vote above our weight class, meaning the number of Black people who vote in elections outweighs our percentage in the population, which makes us more influential than we might be. That's diluted by people moving out to other parts. And I was checked by someone who said, don't blame people. I'm always saying don't sell. Stay here. Circle your wagons. We do not want to dilute our clout or voting power. But some people need to move. They can't afford to live here anymore. They feel they need to sell so they could continue to fund their lives. And we've seen a 20% rise in the cost of rents here. But I believe because of our cultural capital, our zealousness around voting, and the wealth that remains. This is home of people like Magic Johnson who have real clout. I believe that in some ways it is a stronghold for Black America. If you want numbers, then you'd go Jackson, Mississippi, which is the only city that's seen a growth in its Black population. The problem is you've got this Republican state legislature, which is trying to take over the police department, trying to defund everything in that Black city. And, of course, you have a city like Newark, where my own brother is the mayor. Chicago was traditionally a stronghold for Black people. Now you've got this, it still is, and you've got a progressive mayor, but you have this backlash of people who are MAGA delusional and have become very xenophobic in a way that is, I believe, not only problematic from a humanitarian standpoint, but problematic from a constitutional viewpoint. It's the perfect time to call me, 800-920-1580. We got a lot to talk about. As always, KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know with BIN News. More than 30 bodies have been pulled from the Potomac River after last night's collision between a passenger plane and a military helicopter near Washington, D.C. Officials do not expect to find any survivors, and the operation is changing from rescue to recovery. President Trump signed an executive order to prepare a 30,000 migrant facility at Guantanamo Bay. The Departments of Defense and Homeland Security will handle the preparations. More questioning of President Trump's nominees continues today. Kash Patel will face senators for the FBI leadership role, Tulsi Gabbard for Director of National Intelligence, and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for Secretary of Health and Human Services. And Rihanna showed up to support A$AP Rocky at his ongoing assault trial in L.A. He faces 2 felony counts and could get up to 24 years if convicted. He pleaded not guilty and declined a plea deal. I'm Bree Wood on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First.
If you were self-employed or a 1099 contractor and missed work because you had COVID or cared for an immediate family member with COVID in 2021, you may qualify for up to $32,000 for the Sick and Family Leave Credit. Visit taxcreditnow.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Clippers' offense was very productive last night at San Antonio. Kawhi Leonard and Norman Powell each dropped 27 points to help the Clippers beat the Spurs 128-116. Leonard played a season-high 29 minutes. Ivica Zubac had 21 points and 22 rebounds. The Clippers are at Charlotte Friday. The Lakers are back in action tonight. They're at Washington, a team with the worst record in the NBA. The Wizards are 6-40 and have lost 15 straight. The Lakers won't have Anthony Davis tonight. A good time for the Lakers to regroup and show some mental toughness on their 4-game road trip. USC's women's basketball team, ranked number 4 in the country, is playing their first home game in 18 days. USC is at the Galen Center tonight to host Minnesota. The Trojans have won 14 straight. Trojan star Juju Watkins remains the nation's number 3 scorer with 24.8 points per game. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
It's KBLA Talk 1580's third annual Black History Month luncheon, and you're invited. This is year 2 of our climate justice work, and this year's $2 million 12-month campaign is all about linking and combating the relationship between climate and Black health. We already know that these wildfires will leave in their wake even greater inequities, including negative impacts on Black health, given the toxic air pollutants circulating in the air we breathe. So, as part of this year's climate campaign, we're honoring Black doctors and leaders in healthcare at our annual Black History Month luncheon, Friday, February 28th at noon. If you would like to join us, just go to our KBLA 1580 website and register for your chance to be our guest at the luncheon. We'd love to see you. And in case you haven't heard the news, KBLA Talk 1580 was just named one of the semifinalists for the American Climate Leadership Awards 2025. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, changing the conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting rules for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Consult a doctor prior to use.
Wow, you look amazing. What have you been doing?
I'm sure you've heard of Ozempic, Wegovy, and the other GLP-1 medications, right? Well, I found this great company called Zelfie. If you qualify, their providers can prescribe medications like Ozempic and Wegovy and other GLP-1 medications that are 80 to 90% less expensive, all 100% online.
I can get GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% less and do it all online? No doctor's office or pharmacy?
Yes, Zelfie can provide semaglutide or tirzepatide, the active ingredients in Ozempic and other expensive GLP-1s, but for 80 to 90% less and shipped directly to your door.
How do I get started with Zelfie?
Just send them a text.
Text BEST to 200-300 to get started today with Zelfie. Get the same active ingredients in Wegovy or Ozempic, but for 80 to 90% less and 100% online. Don't wait. Text BEST to 200-300 right now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text BEST to 200-300. That's BEST to 200-300. BEST to 200-300.
We're not for everybody, but we're for everybody. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah, so much is going on right now that I am taking a measured approach, and I recommend you do too. What I mean by measured, it's not that I won't do any ranting, but we can not take it all in at once. We can take it in, we can deal with it. It's ever shifting. I mean, Trump froze all government grants, right? That's what he did. And then they said, no, we're rescinding that. And then they said, no, we're only rescinding the memo. We're not actually rescinding the order. So it's like walking on shifting sands. And the lying is going to be very hard to keep up with. As you can see, his new press secretary, Miss Leavitt. Maybe they had like a lying contest and see who can lie the best and the most, and look the most Fox Newsy while they do it. And whoever won got to be press secretary. This business about $50 million being sent to Hamas for condoms, just on your first day. You're telling whoppers like that. And I know where she got it. She got it from the president. But again, to my point, she doesn't need a press briefing book because she can just make stuff up. No one expects her to be factual. I have a higher bar at KBLA than she has speaking for the White House. And that's crazy to me. Really sad, this crash. It's a crash between a regular American Airlines passenger jet and an Army helicopter. Mid-air crash, falls into the Potomac River. Everyone on board is believed to have perished. They started the hearing for Kash Patel with a moment of silence. They have already recovered 28 bodies. I think there are 64 more. And they're now saying it's moved from search and rescue to recovery, meaning that they believe everyone on board is dead. Of course, there's going to be an investigation, and American Airlines and the military are sending support to those families. Apparently, the helicopter was doing what they call a proficiency training flight, even though, oh God, it's hard for me to even say this. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth Just, wow. Brain exploding. Claims that it was an experienced crew on the flight, and they had night vision goggles. We've got some Russian figure skaters that were on that commercial plane, and this is just appears to be a tragic accident. The Hamas released 8 hostages this morning. 3 Israelis, 5 Thai nationals, and they were released in Gaza today. First, Israel said they were not going to go ahead and do their part, which was 110 Palestinian prisoners, because it was, they claimed, chaotic. The scene at the hostage handover, was too chaotic. But now they're saying they will be releasing those 110 prisoners later today. We're still in phase 1 of the ceasefire. And they're meant to, during this phase, 33 hostages are meant to be released. And about 2,000 Palestinian prisoners will be released. Many of those prisoners were being held with no charges. So while we know that many times when Palestinian prisoners are released, they'll be rearrested by Israel. Hopefully, at least they will be rearrested with actual charges so they can not languish in prison forever. And hopefully some will actually be able to stay out. There's 2 rounds of exchanges that have already happening. And there are several more that are still meant to go. 8 of those hostages that are meant to be released are thought to be dead. And it's worth pointing out that the fighting continues in the West Bank. That apparently flared up more today after Israel said it wasn't going to release those prisoners. But the Israeli government reversed that decision and decided to go ahead and release those hostages. Did anybody see any of RFK's testimony yesterday? I'm laughing because I have quite a few friends, including I think our guest yesterday, who I just met, who feel like they want RFK to be confirmed because he's anti-vax and they're anti-vax. You know, there's a lot of progressives, and this is where progressives and conservatives can meet. Many are against vaccinations. They're against the fluoride in the water, hating on the big pharmaceuticals. I myself am very anti-pharmaceutical. I believe if you can fix it with an herb, diet, and exercise, and rest, you should do that. Yeah, if you break your leg, go to the doctor. Yeah, if you're on medication, check with your doctor before you start taking herbs. Yes, to all of that. But I actually do agree with some of the things that RFK says too. However, he is clearly not just a hypocrite, but also a nut. And that's a problem for Health and Human Services. I do not think it's a good idea for people to not get polio vaccines. You should be able to take it in the manner that you desire. And if I feel like if people want to opt out, they should be able to. But it's ahistorical to say that polio didn't save lives and stop people from being permanently disabled in this country. And the fact that we've eradicated it is a good thing. And it is attributable to vaccines. Just because you don't want to take the COVID jab, or maybe you personally don't want to be vaccinated, then okay. But the herd immunity that has been created because of vaccines like measles and polio, tuberculosis, those are things that are good things. Those are wins. And so I'm assuming that most of these nominees are lying, because that's what the Supreme Court nominees did. And because, well, corporate culture, top down, I think it's the same for government culture. And the biggest lying liar who lies is not allegedly, but provably the current president of the United States. So why wouldn't the rest of these folks lie? So when RFK says, no, I'm not against, you should be able to get the polio vaccine if you want, I don't believe him. I don't believe he'll protect my right to vaccinate myself or my child should I decide to do so. And I think the biggest tell was Bernie Sanders questioning him, and he refused to say that health care is a right. He, in fact, responded saying, well, if you smoke and you get cancer, everybody shouldn't have to pay for that. If you smoke and you get cancer, everybody shouldn't have to pay for that. So that's, philosophically, that tells me that you believe that monetary impacts should be the decision-making factor for healthcare. And that's not what we need. That is not the direction we need to go. We have unhoused people dying in the streets who need healthcare. We have older Americans choosing between medication and food. We have preventable diseases spreading because people don't get healthcare. If you cannot say that healthcare is a right, you're far, far away from the idea of Medicare for all or universal health care, which is where we need to be. We need to join the rest of the so-called developed world in providing health care for our citizens. And even if you think, well, I have money to pay for my health care or I have a job that provides coverage, your child is going to be sitting next to a child that doesn't. And that child can give them an infectious disease. And that's going to be a problem, especially with the withdrawal from the World Health Organization and the rise of anti-science sentiment within our government. So even though he may say a few things that I agree with, I do not think that RFK is the man for that job. It seems like all of these guys are going to get confirmed, though. It seems like the parade of locos are about to be the cabinet members. If Hegseth got through, why not RFK? If RFK got through, why not Tulsi Gabbard? Why not Kash Patel? It sounds surreal. I feel like I'm doing a satire, a Saturday Night Live episode, but that's what is happening right now in our nation's capital. Oh, focus on what we want, not what we don't want. There's no way this is sustainable. Despots typically don't win in the end. And a few bits of what I like to call palate cleansers I've got for you when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
The new year brings new health goals and wealth goals. Protecting your identity is an important step. Your info is in endless places that could expose you to identity theft, leading to lost funds. LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Resolve to make identity health and wealth part of your New Year's goals with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide Free and Gentle provides an excellent Tide clean, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues like dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on your skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr.,
publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
The following is not a contest and is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways with the purpose of soliciting sales or vacation ownership. For complete details, please visit fvgradio.com. If you want a complimentary stay in Cancun at a luxury resort, then Family Vacation Getaways may have your ticket to paradise. We're giving away a 5-day and 4-night stay to the first qualified 50 callers who can name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. An animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. Do you know it? Call now, 800-868-6431, 800-868-6431. You may also be eligible for an exciting bonus vacation to Orlando, Florida for just $398. And don't worry about anything ruining your plans. We can extend your travel up to 18 months. Name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird, and you may be eligible to get a complimentary Cancun resort stay and an optional bonus vacation to Orlando for just $398. What are you waiting for? Call 800-868-6431. Again, call 800-868-6431 and give us your answer.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where everybody is somebody and nobody is a stranger. You belong here.
Refreshing palate cleansers, things to clean your brain amidst the national onslaught of cray-cray. I'm happy that Roxanne Shante is getting a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award. I think that is great news. She is the first solo rapper ever to win that award. And if you don't know, look it up, because she was one of the first ones to inspire a lot of women in hip-hop. She will get that Lifetime Achievement Award. I guess Prince is getting one, and Frankie Beverly is also getting one, which I also consider a good thing because he never won a Grammy during his lifetime, which to me is insane. How does Frankie Beverly not have a Grammy? He has so many hits and so many songs that are part of the fabric of everybody's lives and weddings and funerals, and I just insane to me. But I'm happy that they're doing that. This is a special merit awards ceremony. Happens Saturday, one day before the actual big Grammys. And I love Roxanne Shante. When I was a young woman, very young woman, starting out on this mic, she was an inspiration to me because her attitude, she's fearless. She was like, bring it. She was and not afraid to battle anybody. And she had never questioned her authority to hold this microphone. And as a woman in an industry that requires a microphone, that has a very thick glass ceiling, of which I've been fighting my entire career, I can tell you, having inspirations like Shante, well, it means the world. Congratulations, Queen. It is well deserved. And yeah, I mean, look, DEI to the side, some of us got out our virtual machetes and cut our own path. And it's always nice to have someone there cutting it with you. And to be honest with you, even though right now female rappers are killing the game and there's a lot of them making hits and doing whatever they're doing, there's still a lot. There's still a lot of sexism in entertainment, in the music industry, in the radio industry, in the television industry. So any woman that you see on the mic doing her thing, deserves at least a nod, an applause, some love. Okay, palate cleanser number 2. There are companies that are fighting for their diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. And I think it is a disguised Republican talking point I saw one lady, in fact, someone shared a reel with me yesterday, one lady saying, I quit Target a long time ago because they support devil worshippers. And by devil worshippers, she meant LGBTQ plus people because of their Pride merchandise. And then there was this one guy that was designing their Pride line who had a joke pin, and they try to label him as a devil worshiper, right? So some of these people that are coming out with a pro-black line saying, well, DEI never helped us anyway, are spewing a Republican talking point that happens not to be true, because many of those products, black-owned companies that are on the shelves of Target or Costco or whatever, they got in there through DEI initiatives. A lot of the people that actually are over those diversity, equity, and inclusion departments within corporations and government are actually black people that have those jobs. Yes, it's helped women. Yes, it's helped other people of color. I'm not against that. Good. Go, girl. Get a job. Go, BIPOC person. Get a job. But to pretend that it doesn't help black people is a talking point that is seeming to be very effective right now on social media. Oh, it didn't help us anyway. That is not the truth. I'm not saying it hasn't helped others, but that is not the truth. Why are these black entrepreneurs warning that if you boycott Target, they'll suffer? Because they got in through DEI programs and now they're there and they want to win, right? You make your own decision, but I'm saying that's clearly an example. And there are programs that corporations have that fund all kinds of things, not just jobs and positions, i.e., there are loan programs through banks. There are training programs and support for entrepreneurs that happen through all kinds of financial and educational institutions that are part of the diversity, equity, and inclusion. And when those go away, those small businesses lose that support. Those are black-owned businesses. Those students that are trying to get ahead, or people who are looking for professional education and development, they lose those. When companies, whether they might be suppliers who supply government or big corporations, and they got in the door through a diversity, equity, and inclusion program. Look, I hosted this diversity supplier fair for 2 years in a row. And this is just one example for the Department of Water and Power here in Los Angeles, where all of these, in fact, I met a lot of black-owned businesses there, and many of them have been featured on our Wealth Building Wednesday. Well, they were provided opportunities to team up with bigger corporations, get their foot in the door to become suppliers and contractors with the DWP, which is a giant agency with a huge budget. Some of those kinds of programs will go away. Now those black businesses will not have the door open to them to go and get those dollars that are within the public coffers or that are within these big corporations. There are programs that create pots of money to support black and Latino media initiatives, whether they be in corporations or in government. Those go away. Your favorite media outlets are going to lose dollars. This is an inaccurate talking point based on either a lack of understanding or a deliberate effort to undermine our fight back for something. So I think it's very palate cleansing moment that a lot of corporations are fighting back, and they're holding on to their DEI programs, not just because they have a principled belief in it, but because they know that it helps their corporations to do better. And Delta Airlines is one, Costco is one, the Cleveland Cavaliers, and some of these companies so far are saying, this is our decision to make as a private corporation, and we're not following the initiatives, the demands of the White House. We'll see how long they're able to stand strong, but I think that is refreshing and good news. I also think it's great news that attorneys general across this country are teeing up. They're fighting the clawback of birthright citizenship. They are fighting the freezing of federal funds, and they are fighting other ridiculous executive orders that that will impact people on a local level in their actual day-to-day lives, their family budgets. And, well, it's almost time for our next guest, but also the fact that a judge temporarily blocked Trump's effort to take control of the public purse, usurp the authority of Congress by freezing all these loans and grants. And I think we are going to see more courageous judges like Lauren Alicon, who value the U.S. Constitution over the whims of a would-be emperor. News, traffic, and sports, and then more when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. More than 30 bodies have been pulled from the Potomac River after last night's collision between a passenger plane and a military helicopter near Washington, D.C. Officials do not expect to find any survivors, and the operation is changing from rescue to recovery. President Trump signed an executive order to prepare a 30,000 migrant facility at Guantanamo Bay. The Departments of Defense and Homeland Security will handle the preparations. More questioning of President Iraqi at his ongoing assault trial.